This is Joy News and you're watching News Today. Coming up, police and military at Bawku in the Upper East region intensify security measures after 2 people were shot dead. Also to come, witnesses say suspected Boko Haram militants dressed as Nigerian soldiers killed 19 people at a fake checkpoint near the border with Cameroon. I am Kemini Nyamani Amano. When I return, I'll bring you details of these stories and plenty more in a bit. This is News Today, and the police and military at Bawku in the Upper East region have intensified security measures after 2 people were shot dead over the weekend. The incidents, which took place at Sebago and Bosum respectively, have sparked fears of a possible violence in the area. Joy News' Albert Soris joined us from the area with an update on the situation. Hello, Albert.
Yeah, hello.
What's new in Bawku?
Well, everything is very calm here. Nothing around is showing that there is any tension whatsoever. Brisk business activities ongoing, and everything is normal. There's nothing like security present that is usually characterized because of these incidents. Everything is quite normal as far as the incident is concerned. As I speak to you, I'm currently in the house of the gentlemen who were affected by the attack, the first attack on Friday, and they have been speaking to me. If we have some time, I can speak to a relative of the 3 gentlemen who were affected.
Go ahead, Albert.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, then. Right, so I'm here with Salih Bashir. He's a relative of Hashmi Yakubu. He is the gentleman who unfortunately died in the first attack. The other gentlemen who were affected there were Mubarak Haruna and Isa Adam Bila. And Salih Bashir is their relative. I'll quickly find out from him how they have been feeling as a family ever since the incident happened on Friday. Welcome to join us. Can you quickly tell us what has been going on? How do you feel as a family?
In fact, the family has been very sorrowful, and there is a lot of fear among the youth. Now, every night, everybody is very careful about his own movement. And then the security have promised us that they will send lights to where the shooting has been done, all that. But the youth are very careful. Sometimes they show temperament as to such killing when they do not see those killers being punished. So the situation, there's a lot of sorrow feeling among the people. They are not happy.
Quickly take us through what has been happening since after the incident on Friday.
Since after happening, we listen to news from other radios that it's criminal activity, it's about a woman and the rest. Because if it is a personal assault, personal problem, why should the killers extend it to the next house? They shot people in the first house and moved to the second house. What motivated that? And if you don't tackle it, then they will move to another place. So the people have.
And what about the 2 gentlemen who were injured? We know one died, but the 2 who were injured, what is happening to them?
The other one is still in the Bawku hospital responding to treatment, But the younger fellow, the young man, he has been transferred to the occupational teaching hospital. But on arrival, he has not been treated because he's not having the National Health Insurance. So we have called on the regional minister to see how far he can help us to get him treated. Because after going through this rough road from Bawku to Kumasi, his injuries may become worse if he's not treated immediately. So we are calling on even the authorities of the occupational teaching hospital to treat him. We'll do the payment later.
Albert.
What the police has been saying as far as investigations into this matter?
The police are saying they are putting their ears on the ground, and it is criminal activity. They label everything that happens as criminal. But we see it to be a different thing. We don't see it to be a criminal activity. We see it to be a tribal issue, ethnic issue, or anything. Because if it's a criminal issue, and the criminal is in house A, that house should be attacked, but not house A, B, C.
Albert.
So, Kemeni,
right, Albert, I just wanted to find out, really, do they know who did this to their brother?
Well, they do not know for now. All they want is for the police to quicken investigation into the incident.
Right.
What they are telling me is that they do not agree with the police that the incident had to do with personal grudge between the two people involved.
What do they think it is?
Well, they are thinking that it has to do with the usual ethnic disputes that we've had over the years. And that is why the attacks happen.
And do they intend to retaliate?
No, they have not said that, except to say that the youth are very angry when they are talking about this matter. They express temperament. But as far as retaliation is concerned, they have not given any indication of the sort.
How do residents feel, especially in the absence of security personnel in the area after all that happened?
Well, like I said, business activity is ongoing. You cannot tell that people are afraid whatsoever just by looking at them. But when you speak to people, they tell you that they are now extra careful in their normal movements because they cannot tell what can happen at any time. So they are very careful. Those are some of the things that they say. Thank
you very much, Albert, for that update. We've been talking to Joy News' Upper East correspondent, and his name is Albert. Sorry, he joined us with an update on the Bawku shooting and killing. Let's move on to some other stories away from that. National Security Advisor Brigadier General Nunu Mensah, retired over the weekend, described the many strikes on the labor front as a sign of high-level indiscipline in the country. He called for the suspension of salaries of workers who embark on strike. According to him, the many strikes on the labor front depict high-level indiscipline in the country. Earlier this morning, I spoke with Senyo Ejabin, a labor consultant, on what constitutes an illegal strike and if there is anything as an illegal strike at all in labor. Let's take a listen.
My practice of industrial relations, I'm yet to see a legal strike in Ghana. That means that from my point of view, almost, if not all, strike actions that have been embarked upon have been illegal. Some of them are legal from the beginning, and they become illegal going forward because when the law kicks in, then they then go in breach of the law. Because like I said, if you're on strike, you have the strike and start the strike. As soon as you are invited to the bargaining table, the cooling off period provision kicks in. And if you do not accede to the fact that call off the strike and let's talk, then you are in breach of the cooling off period provision. Then the strike becomes illegal. So consistently, all strike actions that have taken place in this country have been illegal if you apply it to the letter and the spirit of the law.
Away from labor issues for a moment, residents of Aimpim, a farming community in the Wasa East district of the Western region, are living in fear as their lives and health are endangered by the unregulated activities of Golden Star Resources WhatsApp mines. They are therefore threatening to take the law into their own hands should the company fail to meet their demands of either relocating the community or regulating the activities. Western Regional Correspondent William Benjamin Peters has filed this report.
Aimpim is a population of about 1,300 with farming the main occupation of residents. The community lacks some basic facilities such as a place of convenience and a health center. A toilet facility constructed for the community by Golden Star is in a bad state. A clinic in the community constructed also by Golden Star offers health facilities to only staff of the company. Patients from the community have to travel about 10 kilometers to a nearby community to access health care. Mining activities is conducted a few kilometers from Aimpim. Dust, which emanates from mining activities, residents say is a health threat. Aside this, buildings in the area have developed cracks due to blasting. Almost all structures in the community, from individual households to institutions such as schools and the police station, face possible collapse as a result of cracks from blasting of rocks by the company. According to the residents, the company has accepted responsibility of patching all the cracks on the affected buildings. However, this, residents say, has not helped address the situation as the structures have become weak due to constant blasting of rocks. Residents are therefore calling for the relocation of the company since its closeness to the community is posing a health threat. The chief of Aimpim, Nana Akofo-Nneɛma I, bemoaned the plight of the community. He told the news team several appeals to authorities for the company to have their activities regulated is yet to yield any positive result.
Okay, say Dan Papaye and I'm say Ibisune Sabibra Ombejiji assassin ombe adwuma amasisia no aduban hu ne ade no aduane sem na bibisa no so ayo haw ma yede to company nanim se omoso hwe na omommo ayo kwan bi so se ne be ya yesu betimi abe project bi se adas abe ana bibisa na no so ebetimi aboa oman no ama se bibini a oman yesu yetimi nya mfaso bi afri hosa.
An elder of the community, Nana Akofo-Nneɛma II, said the community has totally been deprived of its fair share of development. He added that farming, which used to be their mainstay, is now dwindling due to the fact that the area available to farm has reduced.
Ni baby no so say France baby teacher for better problem you will be yana nanom na yepedade me teacher say oba becha do hanum no chanso be say abamba ba dem a you teacher quarters abetu aden aboa teacher so tumi atratumi da chen kwa na de chanso mamu no o education no o man tumi tumpon.
Some residents shared their frustrations.
Ti say no ebi de ma yele be ensin ebi de ma yele be enson na ye say hayen nti wo de muntu yan na munya kwan nye modwuma o hwe bebia kuro no bebia wesi bo na bebia terrace ne go na edo na dua truck ne eduma ha ya na e ha huro bebre ye tu ho na mo na ya twetwe ho krata ne ade ye ne o makosia o deputy minister ho ye nim se o betumi aka ho bebia up to date o man ka ho hwe nkire na me ne ga me nim se UPF ne ha because what I make am my UPF up to date o man ka ho hwe amanya hwe nti ye wa ha ngasa
ye wa kurom he wa man fa ekuroma no ahofo ne ya fa wo mu chese ma nkatosia ne mlante wo kurom he nya adwuma nye ya ti ya blessing no nso se enya ji se wo dema nya mi amo anansen pode boba ebi dadema boba efri adwuma ma be bo no wo ha ai wo fra mpanyimfo ni nyina ma wo mo ba be hu se Bubana actually a chance in a Damadan with the Riana and China never we.
Blasting so I know Papa, Yamina has all come with them. I pipe in Agro. I made me did Damusa. Nini actually part of one so by you, Moya cry that's our pie.
Let's do some party politics now. The People's National Convention has hinted of plans that it will consider measure talks with the PPP as it resumes similar talks with the Convention People's Party. You recall that the Progressive People's Party came third in the 2012 polls. Most social and political commentators were of the view that a measure will increase their chance of winning and also enable them make a positive impact in the country. With me in the studio is a leading member of the Progressive People's Party, William Duokbo. We'll find out if the PPP is interested at all. Hello, William.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have you received any formal invitation yet?
No, unfortunately, we have not cited anything. We have not received any correspondence as you would expect if something like that is to go on. So we are really surprised at the discussions going on. My chairman tells me that there's a headline somewhere which says that we are leading some talks. And I just want to use this medium to tell viewers and listeners that the PPP is not leading any major talks, and we've not been communicated to. We have no idea what's happening, and our people should focus on the work that we are doing.
So what will be the PPP's reaction should you receive an invitation to come aboard with the CPP and the PNC?
Well, first of all, we think we are too young a party to put that agenda on the front burner. We've just had one election, although we placed third, which is good for, starters. We were really disappointed in the numbers. Now, what our focus is now is to work very hard on the ground and make sure that we become solid, we have a strong foundation, and then we look into the future. But for now, we think it's too early yet, even if we had formal correspondence to engage in these talks.
But analysts say that this could be good for you.
No, we think
because it could push you up.
No, not
the
at
numbers.
all. In fact, we think that it could be a poisonous chalice, given that we just started, and although we've made a very attractive showing as a first timer, we need to focus on our agenda. Remember, we are coming across as the alternative to the NDC and the NPP, and that could trigger some developments elsewhere. If those two parties feel threatened, then they could even trigger some of these things to, as it were, take us off track. But we've told our members to focus there. We're able to place third when we worked for just about 12 months. We think that we can do better.
So you
because
think
the
this
political environment is ready for an alternative. And if we work hard at that, we do not need to merge with the, for want of a better word, the old parties. We can provide that strong, new, fresh alternative that the people of Ghana are looking for. And remember, it's still off political season. There's no election in sight, and yet we are still on the policy issues. We are still on the governance issues. A couple of weeks ago, we launched our anti-corruption campaign, which was at the heart of our governance system. And those reforms are very big issues for our country, and that could occupy us, for the entire duration of the off-political season. And it's a worthwhile venture that we are focused on, apart from organizing at the grassroots, so that we can make a better show in 2016. So our focus is there.
You think this was meant to sway you off that?
Well, of course, some of us suspect that it's a poison chalice, and our people should not be excited about this at all. The PNC, CPP efforts to come together have been on the table since 1992. They've had difficulties, some of their own making, some of the making of external forces that would not benefit should the two come together. But if you ask me personally, I would say that I wish the PNC and the CPP well if they're able to sincerely work this out. But we have our own plans, we have our own way of doing things and want to focus there. It's too early yet in the day for PPP to think about any merger.
They're bringing all the Nkrumah East parties together, and they thought of bringing the PPP aboard so that we can champion the Nkrumah cause.
Well, my understanding, and even the little work I did, in my personal circumstances, it was a lot of work. When I was with the CPP, was that the bigger Nkrumah East party now is the NDC, and so it's difficult for some of us who cannot share the same ideologies with the NDC and the NPP to say that we are working with any Nkrumah East movement and so on and so forth. We remain progressive, we remain humanist, we remain pragmatic, and we know what ails our country, and we are not going to focus on ideology per se. We are talking about ideas that have arrived, and we want to tackle corruption. We want to tone down the powers of the executive. We want to make sure that the legislature is stronger and is able to, deliver on its oversight responsibilities and so on and so forth. We are geared towards bringing good governance to this country, and that is our focus. Our people must not be persuaded into thinking that something like that is happening. In fact, let me repeat that we think that it's a poison chalice, and those people who are excited about it must be careful. Let's go down there and build our structures and come out as the alternative to the NDC and the NPP.
Many thanks, William. Thank you very much for your time. William Duokbo is a leading member of the Progressive People's Party, and he says that he thinks it's a poison chalice called by the PNC, that it will merge with the CPP and the PNC. Let's move to some other stories. And 9 passengers on board a fully loaded 207 Benz bus died last Friday after the vehicles got involved in an accident at Asunomaso in Kwanta. The bus crashed into a tipper truck loaded with chippings, veered off the road and somersaulted. Mohammed Nuruddin visited the scene and filed this report.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's okay. We apologize for the lack of audio on that report, but I have on the telephone ASP Francis Asante. He's the Agona District Police Commander. Hello, ASP.
Hello, good afternoon.
Right, and so good afternoon to you, ASP. Last Friday we lost 9 lives. What's the latest on the situation now?
So the normal death is still 9. Those who were sent to the various hospitals are responding to treatment. And some of the dead bodies have also been identified and have been claimed by their relatives for burial after the postmortem examination.
The report we also got indicated that the driver of the tipper truck fled the accident scene. What have we achieved in tracing him?
The other day, that Friday, I refuted that allegation. The driver reported himself to the Asumasu police station.
But he only did that after he had fled the scene, right?
Yes, definitely some of the people just want to lynch the driver when he's seen.
Right.
So he sneaked to a nearby police station, reported himself, and that same Friday, he was sent to my outfit, and he has since been in our custody.
I see.
This morning, we took him to the magistrate court on a provisional charge of dangerous driving and has been remanded to appear before the court on the 4th of November. So he's with us.
Thank you very much, ASP Francis Asante is Agona District Police Commander, and we've been talking to him with respect to an accident. But let's move on to some other stories. And President John Dramani Mahama has made a passionate call to Ghanaians to believe in Ghana, noting living conditions in the country are not as bad as they have been portrayed. Now, speaking at a church service to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the Star of the Sea Catholic Church at Dansoman, the president said government had made significant gains in revamping the country's economy.
In the church, there are those who give up easily and just complain. But there are those who will stand up and work to make sure that the church becomes what God wants it to be. In a nation, it is the same. All the nations that we glorify today, America, England, and all of them, didn't get up one day and become what they are. They went through exactly what we're going through. But if all of us believe that one day our nation can become as great as those other nations, God shall make it happen. God's sun is up for the people of Ghana. And if we only recognize that His hand is up for us, and we'll stop complaining, but that we will join hands together and believe that our country can be a better place, it will be a better place for us. It doesn't take only the president and his vision. No one man can change things. It takes the president working together with all the citizenry to be able to change things in any country. And so let us believe in the faith God has endeared us with, and let us continue to work so that we can see the better Ghana that we have promised.
So now that the 10-day ultimatum given government by the Trades Union Congress is over, what will the TUC do? We'll find out when I return. You're welcome back to News Today. Moving on, an industrialist and chairman of the Tema Regional Branch of the Association of Ghana Industries has said the construction of a new harbour in Lomé, Togo, could divert maritime traffic and trade away from the increasingly overcrowded Tema Harbour, which could seriously reduce government's revenue. Charles Mensah wondered why, in spite of the increasing congestion, government went ahead and sold a parcel of land reserved for the expansion of the Tema port. Container traffic at the Tema port has risen by 56% since 2009, hitting 822,131 containers in 2012. According to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, traffic is projected to reach 3 million by 2028. Government has reiterated its commitment to keep the single spine pay policy despite calls for its abolishment. According to Finance Minister Seth Terkper, despite the challenge that the wage bill poses on government expenditure, government will maintain the single spine pay policy. Ghana's wage bill is expected to hit 11 billion this year from 9 billion in 2012. And according to the Finance Minister, the Employment Minister has inaugurated an implementation committee which is working with labour, employers and other stakeholders to see where government should aim with respect to wages. Head of Political Science Department at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, meanwhile, wants government to cut public sector workers' salary by 10% to save the economy from further decline. Whether or not this could cut down our wage bill problems. Sami Yampa would help us understand how it could, and he's joined us over Skype. He's head research at Gold Coast Securities. Hello, Sami.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Good to talk to you again. Right, so, Sami, We understand that our wage bill is to hit 11 billion Ghana cedis from the 9 billion we recorded for 2012. Do we still see a single spine pay policy as sustainable at this point?
Well, I will want to see it to be sustained because it is a good policy that is helping the public sector to realize realistic wages. Hitherto, we used to have wages which were not commensurate with the working conditions, and wasn't quite competitive enough. So with the emergence of the single spine, I think that it's something. It was a thought through policy which was going to support the public sector to be more efficient and to be having realistic wages.
Now they say if we cut down by 10%, we could be saving as much as 1 billion Ghana cedis. Is that a step government should consider taking?
I think that if governments will want to cut down the 10% on wages, I guess government will be hitting the wrong target. You want to believe that it wasn't the public sector workers or the public sector apply this austerity measure. Look, there was this report by the Labor Research Department, which was commissioned by the UPSU, that's the European Commission, which chronicled these attacks on public sector workers in 8 countries. It has happened before. If you look at a country like Estonia, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Latvia, Romania, Spain, and Lithuania, they have experienced that before, right? And the report currently explains how the cuts have been implemented and the impact they have had on public sector workers' pay. And there are some key points that the report raised, which is very critical, that in their times, in those countries, what they did was repeated cuts. Often the first round of cuts is judged to be insufficient and pay is reduced again and again. Then they also applied elimination or reduction of bonuses and additional payment, where these are generally the first item that was targeted. And then they also attempted to protect the lower paid. That is, pay is sometimes cut more for the higher paid, although the lower paid also lose some pay. So all these measures were some of the things that these countries did in that reaction. But if you recall, you realize the outcome of such policy. There was so much labor unrest. I mean, you read anything on Spain, there is too much disturbances on the labor front. And that was as a result of such economic policy. And today they have paid dearly. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot more of policy and economic unrest happened to Spain. And then these Greece, Hungary, and other countries. So I believe that if government would take that measure, then it will be hitting the wrong targets.
1,000 on government's wage bill, 600,000 people we're looking at on government wage bill. Is that large? For a country like ours, of course.
No. It depends. It depends. I mean, this is a situation where a lot during the times of setting up new ministries and setting up, government arms, some arms of government. There were some agitations that the ministries were too many. Some government functionaries should not be set up at all. When you were increasing your ministers, a lot of agitations here and there. So these are the reasons why. If you were to use a thin and a slim government, ministers, the ministries, I guess we'll not be having such huge. And apart from that, if you look at the public sector, where we have nurses, we have teachers, that could constitute, that is the huge chunk of it. That constitute that. But how much are they being paid? If you look at the security services, how much are they being paid? You know, the argument is that with the emergence of the single spine, some salaries have increased about 100%. But what is the reality on the ground? Listen to me. If you look at inflation, you know, inflation alone, it can take away about 30%, 40% of your salary.
I see.
Then you talk about utility bills. You know, so some of these, if you look at it, the person's, the DI of the person, the disposable income is very small. You know, so if you cut and you say that they are high, I mean, it might be a very bad target for government to hit. And there are so many measures government can reduce, can do to help with this current economic conditions. And I believe we have to look at those ones.
Sammy, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much. Sammy Aimpim is head research Gold Coast Securities, and we've been talking government's huge wage bill, which is set to hit 11 billion Ghana cedis by end of the year. Now, U.S. banking giant JP Morgan is set for a record $13 billion fine to settle investigations into its mortgage-backed securities. U.S. media reports have said a tentative deal is believed to have been reached in talks with senior U.S. Justice Department officials. The fine relates to the sale of securities based on home loans, which led to the near collapse of the banking system in 2007. It's confirmed it would be the biggest settlement ever paid by any U.S. company. Last month, JP Morgan was fined almost $1 billion in the London will scandal, which arose from huge disastrous bets on the financial markets placed by former bank employee Bruno Ixu. Rashida Baba Kadiri is back, and she'll bring us some sports after this.
I am Rashida Baba Kadiri. Good afternoon and thanks for making time for the sports segment on News Today, which is made possible by the kind courtesy of Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo. Now, I'm sure you've been monitoring what's going on in all the leagues across Europe, and the biggest headline in Italy being that Juventus, they were leading by 2-0, but Fiorentina came up to beat them by 4-2. I mean, it was unbelievable. Could this have happened? Let's check out what really happened in the Italian Serie A, as Inter Milan also drew 1-1. Only AC Milan for me performed this weekend, beating Udinese by 1-0, with Garnasili Ali Muntari helping out in the process. Of course, Kodjo Asamoah was also in action for Juventus. Highlights of the Italian Serie A.
Without a victory in their previous two matches, Nerazzurri dropped out of the top three, sitting in 6th going into it, and their opponents took the game to them in a busy opening 5 minutes. Alessio Cerci's shot hit the base of the post just 2 minutes in, before drama ensued as Samir Handanovic was shown a straight red card for bringing down Cerci in the box. Substitute keeper Juan Pablo Carrizo was on hand to deny Cerci from the spot. 21 minutes in, Cerci would make amends for the penalty miss, teeing up Alexander Farnaroux, who smashed in to give the host the lead. On the stroke of half-time, out of nowhere, 10-man Inter found the equaliser. Freddy Guarin capitalising on a loose ball in the penalty area in style, his overhead kick finding the back of the net. Spurred on by the one-man advantage, the host restored the lead 7 minutes into the second 45. Substitute Ciro Immobile with an inch-perfect finish. Inter weren't to be put off as they equalised once more barely seconds later, Rodrigo Palacio scoring his 4th goal of the season. With 20 minutes remaining, Inter completed the comeback. Algerian international Ishak Belfadil burst down the right before finding the unmarked Palacio for his 2nd. Just when the visitors thought they were on their way to a well-fought victory, Torino struck in the 90th minute. Nicola Belomo's free kick going all the way in for the hosts to steal a point.
Right, so with Juve recording the very first defeat of the season, it means that the Scudetto is really open. Inter Milan, AS Roma, who are currently leading the pack, Inter, AC Milan, they're all in contention for the title, not even ruling out Juventus themselves. Away from that, who can stop Bayern München? This weekend, they were all in action, winning their match by 4-1. And of course, let's see how Borussia Dortmund are also keeping the chase up on the German Bundesliga leaders, that's Bayern Munich. So let's see how the results went this weekend in the Bundesliga. Hamburger SV they drawing 3-3 with VfB Stuttgart. FC Augsburg also losing at home to VfL Wolfsburg 2-1. Bayern München beating Mainz by 4-1. Borussia Dortmund also beating Hannover 96 by 1-0. Eintracht Frankfurt, they drew 1-1 with Nürnberg. TSV Eintracht Braunschweig, they lost at home to Schalke 04 2-3. And then Werder Bremen, they drew blank with Freiburg. Hertha Berlin won their game against Borussia Mönchengladbach at home by 1-0. And then TSG Hoffenheim, they were beating at home by Bayer Leverkusen by 2-1. Away from that, David Moyes is in hot waters, if you'd ask me. I mean, too many marks against him now. Too many reasons why everybody who supports, or a lot of the people who support Manchester United, are having doubts about the man. Of course, they say that he was at Everton for 11 years. What did he have to prove? Nothing. He's at Manchester United now, and Manchester United are facing one of their most torrid times in any English Premier League season. This weekend, actually, they managed to draw 1-1 with Southampton at the Old Trafford. Now, they say that now Jose Mourinho is the happy one, from the special one to the happy one, and then David Moyes is the clueless one. How about that? Arsenal won their game 4-1. Chelsea also recorded a win in their game. Now, let's catch highlights of what happened in the English Premiership over the weekend.
To 0, the Hammers were eyeing another big scalp. City made a number of changes to the team that beat Everton. That included the introduction of Micah Richards, who made his first start of the season, while Samir Nasri replaced James Milner on the wing. City went into the break the happier of the teams, thanks to Sergio Aguero, who scored his 5th goal of the league season. The Blues made a bright start to the second period as they moved to clear.
2 for the Argentine, 2 for City.
Under pressure and staring down the barrel of a possible 4th defeat this season, the Hammers pulled one back in some style.
It's a route back into this game for West Ham.
Ricardo Vazquez's goal triggered an exciting period where Alvaro Negredo hit the post, while Aguero continued to test Jussi Jääskeläinen, who kept West Ham in the match. But City put the game to bed in the final quarter as Aguero turned provider. David Silva's goal securing City's first away win of the season.
The Emirates Stadium was a set man, Mesut Ozil. The Gunners had a chance to take the sole position of the top spot in the Barclays Premier League after Liverpool drew 2-2 against Newcastle. They started the game well and took the lead through Jack Wilshere.
It's stunning from Arsenal. Beautiful, beautiful football.
Arsenal then doubled their lead in the second half, with Ozil getting his head on the ball as he guided it past Ruddy. Chris Hughton's men though wouldn't go down without a fight as Johnny Howson pulled one back with 20 minutes to play. Just as Norwich thought they might have a chance of getting back into the game, the in-form Aaron Ramsey showed great composure to score a special goal.
How composed was that? He is a man in form, and he has stamped his class all over this game.
The signing of Mesut Ozil has proved to be a masterstroke for Arsene Wenger, and he sealed yet another impressive display with his second as Arsenal won by 4-1. The result sees the Gunners go to the top of the Barclays Premier League with 19 points in 8 games.
It's a little lucky for the Red Devils as Mauricio Pochettino took his charges into the champions' den on Saturday, looking to increase the heat on United, whose start to the season had been less than ideal. The hosts were the ones to get going quickly, Robin van Persie cleverly meeting a Carrick ball, but the effort sailing wide. The Dutchman would again fail to find the net, this time shooting straight at the keeper. Pablo Osvaldo spurned a perfect chance to open the scoring for the visitors, firing straight at David De Gea, having turned over possession. United weren't as charitable. Rooney with the chance, Van Persie applying the finish.
Van Persie, empty net, not now. Robin Van Persie on the spot. Manchester United breakthrough.
Only the woodwork would deny the champions a second. Rooney again unable to head his name onto the score sheet. Southampton came out with intent in the second half, Van Persie making sure he does good work in his defensive half as well. They would have been grateful for the woodwork, which again stood firm from a Van Persie header, all before Artur Boruc pulled off this stop to keep Adnan Januzaj out. It would be Southampton to finish the stronger of the two sides. A little after David De Gea made a good save, the Saints equalised with the final whistle looming, rescuing a famous point at Old Trafford.
The started position.
So that was the story from the Old Trafford and from the English Premier League. Let's go to Spain now, where Barcelona recorded a draw against Osasuna, Real Madrid maintaining their winning streak.
Between the sides when they did battle on Sunday, it took just a minute for Sevilla to stun the home crowd into silence as Colombian Carlos Bacca hammered them into the lead. The visitors were certainly not in a giving mood, and they duly doubled their advantage, Alberto Moreno getting onto the score sheet with another strike from outside the area. Valladolid keeper Jamie was constantly bombarded as more great work by Bacca set up Diego Figueras, but he did well to deny the Portuguese fullback. The fullback's marauding runs were causing Valladolid's defence all sorts of problems, as he missed a kill-to-edge chance early in the second half. The home side called upon Angolan Manucho, and the former Manchester United frontman looked to be a nuisance as he dominated the aerial battles. The lanky goal-getter did get his name onto the score sheet, as he nodded home a Carlos Peña cross to pull one back for the hosts. And with their confidence soaring with the game reaching its conclusion, they spectacularly levelled matters.
Ebbert hits it, and he scored, and it's 2-2, and Sevilla are going to throw away another golden opportunity to win away from home.
2-2 is how things ended in what essentially was a game of two contrasting halves, as Sevilla's winless run on the road extends to over a year.
Came from lowly Osasuna, a team struggling for form and already fighting to move out of the bottom three. Having missed the Catalans' last two fixtures, Lionel Messi made a return to the Barca bench and was not expected to feature much in what many believed would be another routine win. But Osasuna, who beat Barca by 3-2 in February last year, produced another major surprise. Martin Montoya's inviting pass just escaped Neymar in the 54th minute as Barcelona continued to search for the game's opener. Osasuna also gave Cesc Fabregas some...
We're back tomorrow morning with more news. There'll be news on how the Black Princesses, that's the national under-20 team, and the Black Ladies national under-17 female teams are doing, preparing ahead of their various qualifiers. Also, there'll be news on hockey, on how Ghana's national male and female teams are preparing for the Africa Cup for Nations in Kenya later in November. I am Rashida Baba Kadiri. The news continues after this break. Remember that sports is made possible by the kind courtesy of Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo.
You're welcome back. Now, government is calling on the Labour front to rescind its decision on the ultimatum issued to it. Deputy Information and Media Relations Minister Felix Kwache also reiterated President Mahama's call at today's briefing at the Flagstaff House.
In his appeal indicated that before the ultimatum was issued, government had already set about to address some of the concerns that organized labor raised in the aftermath of the increases. You would recall that a few days after the increments were announced, His Excellency Vice President Emisata convened a meeting of all stakeholders, at which meeting fruitful deliberations took place. Out of the deliberations came the suggestion to form a technical working group to study some of the recommendations that had been put on the table. The committee had been tasked to present a preliminary report as quickly as possible, and government looks forward that sometime this week that report will be made available, based upon which some actions could be taken. So I would reiterate the position of President Mahama that whereas government appreciates the concerns that have been expressed by all interest groups, organized labor, the Association of Ghana Industries, private sector people, and indeed Ghanaians, we believe that it is important for...
So the 10-day ultimatum given by organized labor for government to direct PURC to review the recent tariff hikes ended last Friday. Organized labor this morning held a meeting at its headquarters in Accra to deliberate on the way forward. We're joined once again by my colleague Eric Howard to give us an update on the situation, whether or not the meeting is over and we know the next step. Hello, Curtis.
Hello, Kemini.
What's new?
Sure. Okay, we have actually pitched camp at the Nat Hall. That's where the organized labor meet will be coming off this afternoon at 2 p.m. And we'll be looking at the situation. They'll be having a discussion as to whether they should the outcome of the 10-day ultimatum. This is at that point that we'll get to know what organized labor intends to do. But like I told you this morning, they had a meeting at SEMA. With the TUC and the ICU workers.
Right.
And they had a meeting this morning. And the outcome of the meeting, members here, actually I'm at the NATO now. I'm looking at the situation. I'm not seeing any officials from the organized labor, the TUC as well, in ICU. But, you know, the information is out there that they will be meeting at the NATO at 2 p.m. So we're still waiting to see. When they come in, then we'll just put some few questions to them.
Right. And we'll continue to get updates from you. Many thanks, Curtis. Let's now do some international news. And witnesses say suspected Boko Haram militants dressed as Nigerian soldiers killed 19 people Sunday at a fake checkpoint near the border with Cameroon. Survivors and others near the scene say 19 bodies, including those of 2 truck drivers, were recovered at the ambush site about 30 kilometers from the border near the town of Lugumani. The leader of a civilian vigilante group aligned with the government told the French news agency his group found 5 of the victims shot dead, while the remaining 14 were hacked to death. Other reports quoted witnesses as saying the killings only stopped when the attackers sped off on motorcycles after one of them received a phone call while the slaughter was underway. Boko Haram Islamists have been fighting since 2009 to impose a strict form of Islamic law on Nigeria's Muslim majority north. That's it for the segment. Let's now look at some showbiz. And after successfully aiding in promoting Ghana abroad through the power of music and dance, UK-based Ghanaian singer and rapper Fuse ODG on Saturday night was adjudged the best musician from Africa at the Music of Black Origin Awards held at the new SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. Right, let's take that after this. You're welcome back. Let's go back to our earlier story and the much anticipated, Fuse ODG on Saturday night was adjudged the best musician from Africa at the Music of Black Origin Awards held at the new SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland.
Wanna see you rising, and when they do, they don't even like it. They just wanna see you deep in crisis. Drive us off, you don't need the license.
Fuse ODG until early this year was a relatively unknown musician here in Ghana, but the release of his hit song Azonto, which featured Ghanaian female rapper It's Tiffany, instantly made him a household name in Ghana and beyond.
Azonto, now watch me do my Azonto, Azonto, Azonto. Now watch me do my Azonto, Azonto. We walk over the pages.
After popularizing the Azonto dance through his audition, which saw entries from most parts of the world, Fuse, known in real life as Richard Abiona, released another hit song, Antenna, which peaked at number 7 on the UK charts and number 9 on the Scottish charts. On Saturday night, Fuse ODG beat off competition from some of Africa's finest musicians, including fellow Ghanaian Aimpim, Nigeria's Ice Prince Wizkid and Tiwa Savage, and South Africa's Mafikizolo to become the recipient of the 2013 Mobile Best African Act. Fuse describes winning the award as an honor.
I think it's one of the platforms that's actually recognized what black people are doing in a positive way as well. So I think it's really important that as a black community we have different platforms that portray us in a good way, you know, because we're fighting the media. The way they're portraying us in the news, it's not that great. You know what I'm saying? So
Our headlines on News Today again. Police and military at Bawku in the Upper East region intensify security measures after 2 people were shot dead over the weekend. Witnesses say suspected Boko Haram militants dressed as Nigerian soldiers killed 19 people at a fake checkpoint near the border with Cameroon. Thanks for watching. I am Kemini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.